Welcome to Illinois Law, sponsored by the Illinois State Bar Association. With just a click of your computer, we can buy things, make banking transactions, share information, watch a video, or connect with friends. Millions of Americans and billions of people around the world use the internet daily. Tonight we're going to address the topic of the use of the internet and how it's affecting our kids, our parents, and society in general. I'm glad to have three guests who are experts in the area of computer safety to talk about this topic, and it's a serious one. To my immediate left is Dave Haslett, who's a lawyer with the Attorney General's Office. Dave has been practicing with the Attorney General's Office for 11 years. He's currently the Bureau Chief for High-Tech Crimes. He went to the University of Illinois Undergraduate School. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Next to him is Shara Migas. Sarah obtained her Master's of Social Work in 2007, and she is a 14-year veteran of the field of social work and also taught in the Chicago Public School System. She is currently assigned as the Internet Safety Specialist for the Illinois Attorney General's Office. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And last but not least, I have Rich Wistocki, who is a detective with the Naperville Police Department for 22 years. For part of the last 18 years, he's been involved with internet crimes against children, a member of the AG task force. He's the author of the 2010 sexting legislation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I know all of you have a great amount of background that I could go on about, but what I'd like to do is just get to the point of what we're here for. First part of the show, we'll deal with it in a minute, is dealing with the effect of the internet and how it affects our children. But first, before I get to that, we know that the internet reaches out to all kinds of people, including elderly people and business people alike. And part of that crime system of the internet is dealing with financial crimes.
Correct.
And just generally speaking, Rich, let me start with you.
Sure.
What do you see in the area of just financial crimes general that's happening out there right now?
Well, basically, there's always a lot of scammers out there. We call them Nigerian scammers, not just because they're Nigerian descent, but the area of Africa and Nigeria, and there's a whole Russian spin on it as well, where they're trying to capitalize on the weaknesses of the American people. And what happens is when these scams are hatched, and basically, we have to understand that if it's too good to be true, it usually is. Our parents tell us all the time. So what people have a false sense of the internet, that everything people send them is real, and it's not. And scams, they're scammers in Match.com and dating websites, and these guys really try to take advantage of the elderly, people who are grieving, widows, people who are just unknowing, and they try to make things so real to these people, and they have counterparts, which are people, there are shells all over the United States who are opening up these accounts, and these people think they are working from home, and they're opening up bank accounts, and this money's being deposited, and these scammers are telling these people, once that money's deposited, get it out to us right away. Where? Nigeria, Spain, Russia, Latvia, all these different places have these scammers that are capitalizing on the American people's trust.
Being a bureau chief in the Attorney General's office, just generally speaking about the financial crimes that you see, what's going on out there, for example? Give us some specific example, maybe.
Well, for one example, I had a relative call me about a week ago and said that they had received a phone call. It's not related to the internet, but the same kind of scams occur on the internet. You could receive it via text message or an email. This one was a phone call, and it said that they had been observed seeing WikiLeaks, visiting the WikiLeaks website, and that an investigation had been opened upon them for accessing confidential information or classified information. And so that's the type of scam. It's taking something that's very current in the news right now, and you hear about there's classified information on WikiLeaks, and it just makes people nervous. And it's a scam designed to elicit, to get you to call back, provide personal information. We're opening up an investigation on you. What do you have to say for yourself? What's your defense? And trying to get a person being investigated. So it's these kind of scams, and like Rich talked about, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But also, there's absolutely no limit to how good these scammers are at what they do. Right. They're absolutely believable. And we talk about the elderly and protecting them and kids and protecting them, but anyone can fall prey to these scammers because they're very good at what they do. There's no limit to, they'll hit on the hot topic of the day. They sound very convincing. They'll send you an email that even someone from the own organization probably couldn't tell the difference. You have, the logos, the links, everything looks in order. So you just have to be vigilant and, kind of educate yourself on what's out there because there's just no limit to what they will try and do in terms of the scams.
Sarah, just seeing the general public, I mean, do you see that, and do you see that people are being preyed upon just because of their situation, whether they're lonely or maybe they just found out that they're widowed, like Richard said?
Absolutely. I specialize with our youth, but I see that most definitely with our youth that people create bogus profiles to hurt, harass, mock another person, whether it be a peer or an adult.
Right, and like Sarah was talking about, Sarah goes out and talks to kids all the time, and it's a great opportunity. We try and educate the elderly, educate adults, but also, getting at them young while they're kids and kind of putting it into them from the very beginning about how these scams operate and being careful on the internet for financial as well, because even though they're kids and they may not have credit cards or money to give, they do have social security numbers, they do have personal information, and they too can become victims. So Sarah works hard at getting that information out to the kids and kind of at a very young age, teaching them about privacy and safety.
Well, I mean, Rich, you see it. I mean, it's like the Wild West out there with
Sure.
the internet. I mean, us sitting here, we're just, the internet just started basically. We're trying to figure it out.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, these people who are committing the crimes are so far ahead of us
Right.
in the daily user, it's hard to catch up.
Well, it's funny you should say that, catching up, because people are on eBay and they're on Craigslist all the time, and all over those websites. Don't send Western Union. Don't go to third parties and pay the money. There's no fees associated with our rental properties, and it amazes me how many people ignore those warning signs by Craigslist, by eBay, by PayPal. If they think it's a good deal, they'll still wire transfer that money to a guy who thinks he's working from home, and that money's gone within 24 hours and they can't get it back. And they do not heed these warnings. Something simple as an eBay sale of a car. What happens is the scammers will post a car, they'll bid against their own car with another computer, another account. That sale will end, and then the scammers want to see who is bidding on that. They'll call the bidder or send the bidder an email, hey, the guy who wanted to buy this, it fell through, do you still want it? Well, what do you mean? Well, I'll give it to you $100 cheaper. And they wire the money. Well, eBay doesn't work like that, but they still fall for the same scams.
And it just seems like there's no way to stop it. And the thing to do is just not respond.
Talk to people about being critical thinkers when they're online,
Educate
whether it's
them.
working with our youth
Right.
or our adult population. Everything is not as it seems. So how can we teach them to have a critical eye?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, you just don't know who you're talking to, right?
Right, and I think you have to, there's reputable organizations, which everyone kind of knows about, and then you can receive these emails from, like Rich said, it's a deal that's too good to be true. And what you always want to do is be careful that you're dealing with organizations that you know are reputable. The Amazons, Targets, Best Buys of the world. Be very suspicious if you haven't heard of an organization. And even if you're able to go out and, let's say, get an email from someone offering something that sounds like a great deal, even if you go out on a Google and try and Google the company to see if it's a scam or not, sometimes, like Rich always says, Google is your friend. Go out there and try and find more information out about them. But the scammers are just as adept at manipulating Google into, putting false positives out there as well. So you really have to be, like Sarah talked about, critical thinking, being careful about who you're dealing with, and only deal with organizations that you know are reputable.
All right, so before we get into some of the other issues here, just to advise our viewers what you can do with Google if you sense that there might be a scam going on.
Whenever you get an unsolicited email, something like that comes to mind, scam, they'll send you an email saying that I have been chosen to terminate your life, deposit this money. If you call the police, I'm definitely going to end your life, and this and that. And then people are so scared, they call the police, oh my God. Well, all you really have to do when you get emails like that is to Google the person's name who sent it, put fraud after it or scam. Telephone number that they give you, scam after it. Email address that they give you, scam or fraud after it. And you're going to see how many other people have been scammed by that.
Right, and just like Rich talked about with that WikiLeaks thing that I mentioned before, that's what I did. They told me the basic facts of it. I took those terms, put it into Google, typed in scam after it or fraud after it, I forget what, and then boom, up it came. What the scam was. So it really can be your friend in terms of outlining what's legitimate and what's not.
Okay, so let's transition into, what's going on with the use of the internet and focusing a little bit on our kids and teenagers. Sarah, I mean, you see kids using what nowadays as the medium to connect with people?
Well, primarily cell phones, gaming devices, computers, but most kids now are walking around with mobile computers, their cell phones, and so they're able to do essentially everything on their cell phones. They can text, make phone calls, take videos, everything, access the internet.
Rich, we just have about 30 seconds before our break, but what about the cell phone and the mobile devices that makes it dangerous?
Well, it makes dangerous portable because when you give a kid a mobile device, it's like giving them the keys to the car. It's like saying to your 13-year-old, here's the keys to the car, honey. Go out and have a good time. When you come back, I'll fill it up with gas and go lay you on again. Same thing with a mobile device. Why would you give your child an unsupervised device that can send them anywhere in the world on the internet?
All right, let me stop you right there. We're going to take a break. Right now, we'll be back in a minute.
Bye, Tyler.
Bye-bye, Tyler.
Dear, it's time for serious talk
Oh?
about my daycare. When I started out, it was just to help the neighbors. But lately, it's getting to be a real handful. I need some help.
What can I do?
I need advice on more space, a loan,
What about incorporating?
and insurance.
Wait, I know who we can call.
Times like this require sound advice. Your lawyer can help. A message from the Illinois State Bar Association. Over and over. Time and again.
Drive me nuts. Shut up. You're the dumbest.
Generation after generation.
I hate you. I hate you too.
Isn't it time we stop the cycle? Now.
I hate you. I hate you.
Stop adult violence. Teach kids peace. A message from the Illinois State Bar Association.
Welcome back to Illinois Law. My name is Marty Dolan. We're here talking with internet specialists and lawyers with the Attorney General's Office and the Naperville Police Department about the crimes that are going on with the internet and how it's just exploded. And before the break, we talked about the use of the internet and how they're attacking children,
Right.
and how we're allowing our children to go on certain websites or search engines or whatever they might be, and particularly with mobile devices, and how it's just open game for criminals to go after our kids. So, Dave, let me start with you. I mean, you're the bureau chief over at the Attorney General's Office of the State of Illinois. What are you seeing going on right now with crimes against our children?
Well, the big thing right now, obviously, is Facebook. Everyone is on Facebook. I believe there's about 700 million accounts now that individuals have Facebook, and that includes adults, but a lot of kids also. And while technically the age for kids to get onto Facebook is 13, we're seeing kids actually younger and younger obtaining accounts. They're lying about their age and applying for an account and getting it, and sometimes with even parental permission. And the important thing is, Rich talked about the cell phones and talking about Facebook. The important thing is parental involvement, getting the parents involved in order to kind of monitor what their kids are doing. And when I go out and talk to, sometimes they'll go out and talk to parental groups. And I always say, if your kid goes out on a Saturday night, what are you going to do? Have I met these people? I want to meet them before you go out. When are you going to be home? You ask a lot of questions when your child's physical safety or physical location is involved. But a lot of parents don't take that same approach to the internet. They're on Facebook. They're talking to people that you don't know. So the same kind of questions that you would ask in the real world, you want to ask about the online world as well, and monitor what they're doing out there, because it's just as important, as important as their physical safety is, their online safety is just as important, and the parents need to be involved in what their kids are doing online.
I mean, it seems like, Sarah, that the parents don't understand or respect the fact that their kids are open prey out there with these mobile devices and going on Facebook or whatever it might be.
Right. I work with parents all the time, and they ask, they tell me that, the children get it, and they don't get it. So the children really have a lot of leeway on the technology. But what we've realized is that, the average person's spending roughly 7 hours a day on technology. About 93% of kids are online, 75% have cell phones. A lot of kids have their phones in the bedrooms overnight, unsupervised. Kids are really developing, entering into relationships online, and they need coaching. Who is appropriate to talk to, what kind of information is appropriate to share, and how should I be treating others and being treated? And we're seeing a lot of issues around those themes.
So, Rich, when the kids are going on Facebook or their mobile devices, what are the crimes that are being committed? What are they doing to our kids?
Well, what's been happening over the past couple of years that we always talk to kids about predators and what predator looks like and their tactics and things like that. But what we're seeing recently is a huge surge in cyberbullying where kids are victimizing other kids. And like Sarah was saying, we need to teach them to be good citizens online. And they are learning what we taught them about predators. We're having kids make fake accounts, make fake Facebooks, make fake email accounts, and they're terrorizing each other, causing these kids to commit suicide. It is so relentless. They are cyberbullying each other. I'll tell you, 3 years ago, I did a talk at St. Charles North High School, where on that day I was doing the talk, a girl committed suicide because she was cyberbullied by her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. And she took it so serious, she killed herself. Since those 3 years, St. Charles North has had 8 suicides. I think it was 1 boy and the rest are girls because of the cyberbullying issue. It's out of control.
And the cyberbullying is just a relentless attack without a face-to-face
It's
conversation.
in person and online because these kids are making fake accounts on these people they want to target, and it becomes so unfortunate. But what we try to teach the kids is, look, no one online is anonymous. When I go into the schools, I show the kids exactly how we do these investigations and how they can be caught. And that opens their eyes like, oh my God, I never thought that the cops can do that. But we do. So in order to save our children, we have to teach parents. And the unfortunate thing about this, and Sarah can attest to this too, is when we have a parent class in schools, 1 to 2% of those parents show up. Because my kid would never do that.
Right.
That is the big falsehood that parents have.
And we can deal with that apathy in a second, but Dave, I want to also talk about the child exploitation that you might see with kids visiting the internet or whatever sites they might go on. So let's just talk about that for a minute.
Okay, in terms of like the stranger danger predator,
Yeah.
Basically the predators go to where the kids are, and the kids are text messaging and they're going to Facebook. So, back when we started 10, 15 years ago, the place to go was the chat rooms, and that's where everything kind of happened, and then we move it off to instant messaging. But now Facebook, it was MySpace for a while, now it's Facebook, and the predators are following the kids to those locations. They'll set up fake profiles, and the important thing for the kids to remember is you'd never know exactly who you're dealing with on Facebook or text messaging. They may say that they're a certain age, they may say they're a 15-year-old boy, but actually it may be someone, our age, pretending to be. They'll pull some pictures off the internet, put up a fake profile, add some fake friends. So it's important to realize that you never really do know who you're dealing with on the internet. So the predators kind of follow and go to where the kids are. And we don't want to overstate the stranger danger predator type of aspect, but it's definitely out there and something that you definitely want to be aware of.
And it's difficult for us as detectives who are working these cases because of those handheld devices. Everything is video chat, FaceTime, Skype. The predator wants, before a predator meets with our online profiles, they want a video chat with them. So which causes us to have to go get undercovers who look young. We have to set up fake bedrooms and everything like that because the video option in these handheld devices are so common now that if you're not a kid, texting or on a cam, you're not a real kid. So the predators know that. So we have to change our tactics.
Right, and one of the things, talking about predators, sometimes, the traditional predator was we want to get them to go out and meet somewhere to have sex with them. But there's also, with the advent of the cameras and the video now, in addition to trying to verify that they're a real kid, sometimes all they're trying to do is elicit pictures, to get them to take naked pictures of themselves and send them out so they can kind of build their collection. So they'll build up this fake profile, build a relationship with the child, making them think that they're dealing with another kid, and then they'll get them to take some, like sexting type pictures. So that's something you want to be aware of as well.
So like these mug accounts, or they're with Apple Computer, where you take photos of yourself.
Well, any webcam or any camera. I mean, the cell phones now, they all have cameras, they all have video, webcams. A lot of laptops have the cameras built right in.
And a lot of kids are putting their images on TinyPic or PhotoBucket, where they're putting their entire picture collection. So if they want to email or send it, they just have to send a link. They don't have to upload the picture. But we have access to all those pictures.
So it sounds like, Sarah, what these kids are doing, I mean, they're just opening up their lives to anybody out there.
Absolutely. We need to teach our kids how to use discretion about what to share, what is appropriate for technology versus something like a diary. And we need to talk to them about using discretion about who they talk to, and just kind of bring the boundaries up a little bit, so a little bit less goes out and a little bit fewer people come in. But when we're talking about what's going out, again, we need to talk about what is appropriate content to go out on this platform.
And we touched on the harassment and the bullying. I mean, what do you see out there dealing with the kids?
I see a lot of peer-to-peer aggression. I'm seeing now it's going to be moving to video chatting. It's already happening on video chatting. And kids can video chat, Skype right on their cell phones now. So it's with them all the time because their cell phones are literally on them all the time.
So they're, 24 hours a day, they're potentially
Yes.
sitting out there as victims.
24
Yes.
hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. And the predators are out there too. On the same, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, again, but we, like I said, our tactics have to be such that we have to act like a 14-year-old kid.
So the type of crime that we've talked about with the bullying and harassment, whatever, I'm sure it's just so out of control that, you and the Attorney General's office are working in conjunction with the police department, just simply can't keep up.
Yeah, and as far as, we're in the criminal division, so we deal with cases that would build criminally, but also we try and reach out for prevention, because we know that no matter what you do, no matter how many cases you can investigate, you can never fully just arrest your way out of a problem.
Right.
You have to address it on the prevention side to make sure that kids understand what they're doing and what the impact is. And we have Rich and Sarah going to schools all the time, talking to the parents, talking to the kids, and that's great. But also the kids themselves have to take an active role because as young as we'd like to think we are, we're still old adults to them, kind of trying to lecture them. And it's important for the kids to kind of be leaders in this area as well, because it's a lot more effective to have it coming from a peer. That bullying is bad, that they shouldn't be doing things, to speak up, and don't be afraid to speak up and speak out for your friends to stop them from becoming victims of bullies.
And actually we did focus groups in schools throughout the state of Illinois, and the feedback we got from the students was that they really wanted more peer-to-peer conversation and intervention when it came to topics like cyberbullying.
So what do you mean by that peer-to-peer intervention and
So maybe
discussion?
sophomores working with freshmen going in and working with 8th graders and really talking them through some of the common obstacles, pitfalls that they're encountering on a day-to-day basis.
Things such like sexting, how inappropriate it is when you're in a relationship, how unhealthy it is when that girl maybe is not ready to have sex with that boy, or it's inappropriate or whatever, and that pressure is constant by the boys, and they try to get these naked pictures of the girls, and the girls feel pressured, or else the boyfriend's going to go away. But what the girls have to understand is that picture, once they send it, it's out there forever.
Let's talk about sexting just for a second. Just what is it, and what are the laws out there? And
Sexting is when minors are taking inappropriate pictures of themselves, whether it be scantily clad, see-through, lewd display of genitalia, or involved in a sex act, and they take a picture or a video of themselves and send it out to someone else that they shouldn't. Prior to last year, we would consider that child pornography. But we all decided that we don't want to make teenagers sex offenders. And or again, like Dave said, arresting your way out of a problem is not going to solve it. So what we did was we got together and we made it part of the MIRA statute, minor requiring authoritative intervention. And we left it wide open to leave for station adjustment. The state's attorney had a program, a diversion program. Police departments were using station adjustment. But for those communities and jurisdictions who don't have those systems in place, they can send that child to Myra, and a judge can give consequences for those actions, such as runaway and truancy.
Okay, so we're getting to the point of running out of time, but I want to make sure we hammer the points across that each of you see in your day-to-day lives. So, Dave, let me just start with you real quick. What do you want? What's the message you want to give, to parents and to school teachers and business people out there regarding internet crime?
I would say the biggest thing is, especially for the parents, and a lot of the parents out there need to be involved in their child's lives, their online lives, and that means monitoring what your kids are doing, keeping tabs on them in their online world as well as the offline world.
Okay, Sarah?
Teachers, educators, social workers, parents all have to work together to help our youth understand how to make choices and be respectful and responsible on technology.
And Rich, real quick, I'll end with you.
I would tell parents, don't fall under the NMK syndrome. Not my kid, or my kid would never do that, because if you're not checking, they just might do that.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome again to the show, and thank you for informing us on this important topic. My name is Marty Dolan. This is Illinois Law, sponsored by the Illinois State Bar Association.